Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Lindsay, and thank you all so much for stopping by. If you are watching this, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, because we're really about to get into some meat and potatoes. So if you're watching this, that means it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Feel free to wish me happy birthday down below in the comments. But I kind of wanted to do a vlog style get ready with me and just kind of talk about the things that I've learned this year, because y'all, God has really opened my eyes to quite a lot of things this year. So I wanted to come on camera and do this video. This video is actually inspired by Maya Galore. I watched her video. It was her birthday a couple days ago, and I was like, you know what, I have some things I want to get off my heart as well that God's been working me through. So what better day than to do this for my birthday? This video is going to be pre-recorded. I'm not going to be talking through as much of the makeup because it's about the lessons, but I will try to link everything down below. I have learned so much about myself, about relationships, and just about, I don't know, I feel like life in the last year. First things first, when it comes to my career, I have learned that I need to get my emotions under control. And for those of you who don't know, my full-time job currently, because I am praying that one day content creation will be my full-time job, which we'll get to a little bit later, but my full-time job currently is in real estate. I'm a property manager. And so I do work in corporate America. And so a lot of the times I really struggled with communicating with my boss when I first started at the beginning of the year, because we just have totally different communication styles. And it was so bad to the point where I just was like, I need to go to therapy. Like, I can't continue to work like this and feel like this. Like, I need someone to help me navigate this workspace and like my emotions and stuff like that in this workspace. Because, and one day maybe I'll do like a story time. Let me know if you guys are interested in hearing our like moving story time back to Chicago and just like all the challenges that we faced. But essentially, the job that I have now, I really prayed for. Like, I asked God for specific things, and God gave me exactly what I wanted on a plate. So I wanted a certain salary because Tay and I have goals, and we'll talk about money as well. Y'all, I don't know how long this video is going to be, so hang tight. It's probably going to be a long one, but I'm gonna try not to go in depth or hone in on one topic, because we have quite a few topics to talk about. But when we moved, I really wanted a specific salary because I was the main breadwinner at the time, and we had financial goals that we wanted to achieve and things that we wanted to do. And I also had a very specific ask in terms of my living situation. So as a property manager, oftentimes you can negotiate free housing as a part of your compensation package, and I really wanted that. As well as I wanted to work for a company whose morals align, and I wanted to pretty much like the people I work with every day. And God gave me that. He gave me exactly what I asked for. I love my property. I love my staff. I love the company that I work for. But I could not get on board with communicating with my manager, like, to save my life. And it was really stressing me out because at the time, her communication style made me feel small. I was experiencing like a lot of imposter syndrome. And just feeling like, dang, like, okay, because at this time I think I was a property manager maybe 3 years, about 3 years, and just kind of feeling like, am I a fraud? Did all the companies that I work for like not equip me? Like, why is it that every time this woman speaks to me, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing? I also didn't feel comfortable to ask her questions, because I didn't want to look stupid, because I already felt like I look stupid. Like, this lady thinks she probably like hired a child to run this property. So I struggled with that for a year, because the way that she would speak to me would just make me feel so small. And it really wasn't the way that she was speaking to me. Fast forward a year later, we're in a really good place now. I love my boss, she's great, but it's just her communication style and my communication style are so totally on the opposite sides of the spectrum that I was internalizing the tone in which I read the email for something that it wasn't. But at the time, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it, because I'm someone that needs to be comfortable in my workspace to be productive. And if I don't even feel like I could ask you questions, that's a problem. And I didn't want to quit, because God had literally gave me my checklist in terms of a job. And my family and I were starting to finally get stable after just a lot of up and down. One day, maybe I will really sit down and give you guys that story time, but basically we didn't have any stability. And so this job was giving us stability, and my family was finally getting in that routine. So I didn't want to just walk away, A, from the job that God has blessed me with, and B, put my family through the ringer once again, all because I can't figure out how to communicate with this one lady. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start therapy. Like, I need help, because I'm not gonna walk away from this blessing just because I'm frustrated. And by frustrated, y'all, to give you context, like, I would literally have anxiety anytime my boss's name came across my screen. She could send me a Teams, email me, and I would have like mini panic attacks. Like, what did I do wrong now? How am I, like, what is it? Like, what did I mess up this time? So that started me going to therapies initially for that. But then therapy became, as it normally does, a blessing in so many other ways, which we're going to talk about those areas now. So I started going to therapy, working on myself and working on just like my relationships with other people. Yeah, I know I'm taking forever on these brows, but talking and doing brows, it's a challenge. So we're gonna move on to the rest of the face, don't worry. But yeah, so those are the things that I learned kind of outside of the theme that I'm about to talk to you guys about, because I do feel like the year 27 definitely had a theme for me. And that theme was surrender your timeline. Y'all, such a struggle. Like, in so many areas of my life, I feel like I had a timeline for things. And at 27, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm officially in my late 20s. We are not in the mid 20s anymore. And there are so many things that I have not accomplished. So many things I feel like I should have had by now, or things that I should have done that I haven't done. Goals that I set out to achieve that I still, like, I don't see much progress here. And then just kind of feeling defeated, like, oh, and a little bit like I have failed, because the clock was ticking. Like, I'm almost 30 and I don't have my shit together. Basically, by 30, I thought I would be grown. I thought I would just have everything all figured out. I would have accomplished all these great things. And when I turned 27 and really looking at the goals, where I currently am, or was at the time, where's my concealer? Yeah, so looking at my goals and looking at where I was all the time, I just felt like, ain't no way I'm gonna be able to do all of this in 3 years, and feeling like a complete failure. And you know, God was just telling me the entire year, like, girl, like, I got you. It'll be my time. Like, when things are right, when I think the timing is right, and when I think you are ready, I will put you in positions to make these things happen. But until then, you know, I need to develop you. There are things that you need to work on. There is trust that needs to be built in all these areas, and you're not there yet. But me feeling like, but once I turn 30, it's over. Like, I feel like we have this perspective of, like, you gotta make it in your 20s. And to think about it, like, I graduated college in 2016. That would have made me, I don't remember, 23. 22 going on 23 when I graduated college. And then I went to grad school, so 24 when I finished grad school. So that's 6 years to basically do everything that I wanted to do in life. I felt like it all needed to happen by 30. I needed to be out of debt. I needed to be married. I needed to have created financial stability. I needed to know exactly what I wanted to do in my career. And I needed to be successful in that career. All within 6 years of graduating. Now looking back at it, it just sounds so ridiculous. But at that time, like, I really felt like I needed to make all these things happen right now. And then I had my daughter at 25. So after I graduated grad school, well, kind of. I didn't really graduate, child. That's a whole nother story. So if y'all want to hear about kind of how I unintentionally dropped out of grad school at the very last moment, let me know. But yeah, so I had Jenny, and then the pressure was really on. So let's talk about that. Okay, the theme I told y'all is surrender your timeline. That was the theme for 27 for me. And there's a verse that I want to share with you guys that really God put on my heart maybe like 3 months ago, and I was just like, okay, I get it. I get it. This is what you're doing. So it's Joel 2 verse 25, and it reads, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the hopper, the destroyer, the cutter, my great army, which I sent among you. So first of all, that latter half of the verse, that which I sent among you, kind of spoke to me that God was very intentional about not allowing certain things to happen at the times that I wanted them to happen for his reasons. And me feeling like, okay, but if they don't happen right now, then my life is over. That verse really spoke to me that God can give you back the time. Like, he can fulfill whatever it is that you dream you have. You feel like you're too old, you feel like you're running out of time. God can give you that back in terms of what you feel like you've lost by it not happening right now. And I didn't understand that at the beginning of the year when I turned 27. I just felt like if it doesn't happen now, I have failed. In my video, why I feel pressured to get married or something like that, I don't remember the title, but I'll have it linked. I kind of shared with you guys my like family background, and I do come from a Caribbean household. I'm Haitian, so the minute I got pregnant, it was like, even though I was a grown child, like I had finished school, like what else do you want from me? But they wanted marriage. They wanted me to find my person. They wanted me to build my career and stuff first, and I didn't do that. So it was like a great disappointment. And of those things that I just named, being married was the most important thing to my family. So I felt like, okay, Tay, I have given you a child. Now we need to get married. And Tay was not ready, child. First of all, for those of you guys who don't know, I am older than Tay. So I didn't have my shit together. He definitely didn't have his shit together at that time. Like, neither one of us were in a position to really assume the roles of husband or wife. Like, financially, emotionally, none of that. But I felt such a pressure of like, well, I've had this baby, so this is what needs to happen next. And I went through so much emotional turmoil because Tay's hand, it wasn't moving. He wasn't going to propose until he was good and ready to propose. And Tay really wants a wedding. He does not want to just go to the city hall and get married, which for me, I was like, I don't care, just as long as we're married. We need to be married. We need to be married. It's just because I was feeling disappointed, like I had disappointed myself, like I had disappointed my God by having Jenny out of wedlock. And I just wanted to make all of that right. And it really needed to happen now. Like, we could get married and figure out this marriage stuff later. But like, the actual getting married, we need to do that right now. Which in retrospect, oh my gosh, I am so happy that God did not allow that to happen. And God kept Tay strong in his convictions, because ain't no way that we would have made it if we would have gotten married at that time, because we just had not, we didn't have the tools, we didn't have the emotional maturity to be husband and wife. Like, we just had so much growing left to do. And also at that time, I don't think I even really understood the true depth and like how much of a commitment marriage was. Like, it's not just I like you, you like me, like let's do this thing. Like, this is an emotional, a spiritual bond, a legal bond that you are entering with this person for the rest of your life, ideally. And it definitely takes a season of preparation. It takes a season of undoing some toxic, you know, mindsets and behaviors. And it takes growing into yourself as a person before you can really commit to something like that. And I wasn't thinking about none of that. I was just like, let's just sign the paperwork. Like, we can figure this out later. And now, after this year of us having gone to therapy, because we did end up going to therapy, and funny thing, the thing that really forced us to actually be like, we need to go to therapy or we're not going to make it, is because we couldn't agree on when and how to get married, because I still hadn't surrendered my timeline. So at this point, y'all know we've been together 5 years now, and pretty much for the up until this year, I was like, you need to marry me. He would be like, I'm going to marry you, but I want to be in a place where I could provide, where I could be I'm not in a position to be a husband right now. Like, there are things I need to accomplish before I can be the husband that you deserve and the husband I want to be. And so I'm not marrying you until I'm in that space. And I didn't care what that man was talking about. I was just like, this needs to happen. So then I finally got to a place where I was just like, okay, God, like, it'll be on your time. But that took a lot. It took a lot of discussions. It took a lot of one-on-one therapy sessions in addition to our therapy sessions. And just in our relationship alone this last year, we have learned so much about how to communicate with each other. I have deconstructed unrealistic expectations that I had for him at those seasons in our relationship, because not only did I choose to partner with someone younger than me, so that means they are at a different stage of life than me in terms of earning potential, figuring out his career, all of that stuff. But I was putting so much pressure on him to be like, yeah, I know you're younger, but like, you need to figure this shit out now because I want to be taken care of. Like, I was really selfish at that time and just not being realistic. And poor Tay feeling the pressure to be like, all right, let me hurry up and finish school. Let me hurry up and, you know, try and find something, because this girl, like, I need to bring the bag. Which, don't get me wrong, we both want pretty much a hypergamous marriage or relationship, but like, our life wasn't working that way, and it wasn't fair of me to put these expectations on him and not give him time to grow into the man that could do those things when I am the person who chose to be with someone that was younger than me. Like, it just was not fair, but I hadn't realized it at that time. And so deconstructing, especially in today's day and age where like all the femininity channels and everyone's telling you, you know, if he ain't buying you no Birkin bag, then pretty much your man ain't shit, which is not true. There's so many other qualities that you should be looking for in a partner. But this is what I was bringing to the table, talking about, I'm ready to be a wife, make me a wife. Absolutely not. No way. And so God, obviously, who has the foresight and knows I wasn't ready then. Basically, I don't think our marriage would have lasted because we wouldn't have had the bricks needed to lay the foundation to really have a strong marriage. We would just have been getting married for the purpose of getting married, which you should never do. But I was feeling pressured because I needed to be married by 30 and I had already had a baby, so like, we needed to get the ball rolling. So God knew that we needed to go through that season. He knew that therapy was really going to help us. And so now I'm a firm believer in premarital marriage and like really talking through some of your expectations and deconstructing some things, because what society is telling you might not work for your relationship. And going into a marriage, you guys really need to be on the same page about those things. And at 23 and or 24 and 21, there's no way that Tay and I were that mature at all. And so God knew, and so he allowed Tay to have some stubbornness in his heart and didn't allow us to get married. The other thing that I really needed to surrender my timeline around is my finances. So I really have a strong desire to get out of debt, y'all. Well, I'm gonna have to hurry this look up, child, because I gotta be at work soon. But yeah, I really have a strong desire to get out of debt and just achieve financial freedom. But everyone's journey is not my journey, and just the pressure to have all of that solidified, like, I wasn't being realistic with myself in terms of my timeline. Like, I wanted to do all of these things, but I wasn't making the income that I'm making now at the time. Like, we were barely struggling to even pay rent, and I'm like putting all this pressure on myself to pay down debt and to like achieve financial freedom within 6 years, especially after I had my daughter. Like, everything just amplified after I had my daughter. I was like, I need to get this shit done now. Which, I mean, I have my whole life and her whole life, but I definitely had like a stronger sense of urgency. But it really wasn't realistic. Again, the foundation hadn't been laid. Like, I wanted to get out of debt, but it takes time to grow and change your mindset from a poverty mindset to, what do they call it, a prosperity mindset. I don't believe in prosperity gospel, but just like really deconstruct your limiting beliefs about finances. And then it takes time to build the habits, which, if I'm being honest, I'm still working on doing. Like, Tay and I are still working on doing those things. So I just was putting all this pressure of like, I want to have all my debt paid off by the time I'm 30. But then I also want to experience life. I want to travel. I want to do all of these things. Putting a pressure on myself to be like, I need to be a homeowner. I need to have like 4 investment properties by the time I'm 30. I need to have it all. Basically, I need the perfect life by the time I'm 30. And not taking into consideration like how much God would have to teach me discipline, that I would have to learn the basics of budgeting. I would have to educate myself on investing and learning the ins and outs of becoming a real estate investor. I would have to build connections. I would have to clean my credit. I would have to do all these things that take time that I wasn't really considering. And this year, again, was the year that I finally was just like, okay, I'm not going to focus on when it happens, because now that Tay and I told y'all we couldn't decide on how we wanted to get married. And that's another reason why I didn't want a wedding. I was like, that's a quarter. What we're going to spend on this wedding is a quarter of what I owe in debt. So I don't want to do it. But it was really important to Tay to have a wedding. Marriage is about sacrifice and compromise and surrendering. So I did end up compromising and being like, okay, if you're this strong in your convictions about how we get married, then we can have a wedding. So once we decided on actually having the wedding, then I really started panicking, because I'm like, I don't see how I could do both, how we could do both, because we're a team. How we could pay down this debt and pay for this wedding. Like, I literally was like panicking about this. And the only reason I was panicking is because of the timeline, right? So now I'm 27. That's 3 years to basically pay off, combined it would be like $130,000. And just panicking of like not seeing how on earth that would be possible, and feeling like I needed to do all the things. I needed to be investing in properties, so saving up down payments for those properties. I needed to be cleaning up my credit, and I needed to be saving, working on my 6-month emergency fund. Like, the goals just keep adding $25,000, like more and more money, and just not feeling like I can't do that in 2 years. Like, I only make so much, you know. And so I finally surrendered my timeline surrounding that, and just being like, you know what, I'm going to just focus on building the habits, and then it will happen. Like, if I am automatically putting money in a savings account every time I get paid, the savings account will build itself. If I automatically kind of become stricter in terms of my budget and like following my budgeting, then I won't be overspending. And if I prioritize my goals as budget line items, then eventually I will reach them. but I'm going to surrender when these things happen, because I don't know when they're going to happen. I just know that they will, and whenever they happen, then it happens. I was operating as if like no change would take place in terms of, or was even possible in terms of what Tay and I would be bringing in. Like my mindset was, okay, if this is what our income looks like forever, then this is impossible. Instead of thinking like, I have no idea what God's plans are for us, instead of thinking that the natural gradual changes of life, like, yes, my fiance is in school now, but he's not going to be in school forever. His earning potential is going to increase. My earning potential is going to continue to increase. And I have no idea where God is taking me, right? Like, I was just learning to trust that my Father basically, like, is the creator of the world. So there is no limit in terms of what his provision for me and my family could be. But at that time, I was feeling like I was the source, you know, that I had to make all these things happen just solely on what I'm making. And not solely on what I'm making, but what I'm making right now. As if like I can't transfer to another company and make more money, or can't get a raise, or honestly, what I'm doing now, you know, trying to build my social media presence, as if God doesn't have a time and place and when all of those things could take off and literally be life-changing in terms of finances. Like just putting such limiting beliefs on what is possible, that I was making these lofty decisions with anticipation of no change in terms of my finances, which is really silly. Since I talked about like being a content creator and stuff like that, that is also another area that I needed to surrender my timeline in, is in terms of when this would take off. Because the truth is, I don't know. And the truth is that it could be tomorrow. Like a video I posted could go viral tomorrow, or it could be 5 more years from now. I honestly have no idea. I just know that this is the lane that God has placed me in. And this is my true heart's desire in terms of what I want to do, and as far as a career. And then I remember feeling like I was going to be stuck in property management forever. Although, like I said, I do enjoy my job and I enjoy what I do, but I also know that it's not my forever lane. I want to be in the beauty industry, and I want to be in content creation in some way, shape, or form. And I've known that for a very long time, but I chose to continue in this industry at the time because of finances, like the financial opportunities, and just honestly being able to support my family. And so that kind of was twofold in terms of, God, I feel like I'm running out of time to make the switch, especially given these industries, because I feel like the people who really make it in these industries are younger, or felt like. I don't currently feel like this, but at the time I felt like once I hit 30, my opportunity to really make something of myself is gone, because people again are building their careers in their 20s, and if I'm in a field that's different from where I want to be, and I spend my whole 20s in that field, then starting over in my 30s, like, I just didn't feel like it would work. I didn't feel like it would work, which is so silly, because people change, what is it? People will change careers 3 to 4 times in their lifetime, and all of that's not happening in your 20s. But again, just feeling like, when am I gonna be able to be in a financial position to where I can leave this industry, to where I can go where my heart is really calling me, and what's the timeline on that? And I had to learn to surrender that as well as operate from a position of gratitude. I told y'all that I have prayed for the position that I have now, and then I got it, and then that year I also really started taking, you know, content creation seriously, and just really praying and being like, okay, God, but now when is this gonna happen for me? And not really being like, girl, I just gave you what you asked for. Can we grow in this, what you asked me to do? And can we appreciate that this is going to give you, you know, the foothold that you need for now? to really accomplish all the other goals. Like, not, first of all, being able to have your own space and not having to pay rent gives me the opportunity to reach the other financial goals that I wanted. But I was so focused on like, but I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to be my own boss. I want to have my own schedule. I want to do this. I want to do that. That I really wasn't looking at the whole picture of what God has provided me. Like, while I'm building this, He's provided me a vehicle to attain my financial stability in the meantime. And I was just so focused on, but like, when am I going to be able to do this full time? Because this is really what I want to do full time. And so then I had to surrender that timeline too, of just being like, you know what, I'm just going to continue to show up every day, every week. I'm going to continue to learn more. I'm going to continue to grow as a creator. And if I continue to show up and I continue to learn and grow, then God will place me where I'm supposed to be at that time. And it's just been, it's been interesting, because also at the time that I'm asking these things, I didn't know nothing, y'all. You can go back to them old videos, like they were crap. You know, like I didn't know anything about lighting, anything about anything that's needed to really be a creator. And I still don't know nothing. I'm still learning. This is still relatively new to me. I just have so much more to learn about the industry. And the more and more I learn, the more and more I'm like, okay, yeah, like there's just so much that goes into this that when you start, you just honestly, you have no idea about. And you learn as you go. But in the meantime, you know, I need to maybe slow my roll, because once I become, I need a smudger brush. Once I go full time into content creation, ain't no more free rent. There are certain benefits that I'm not gonna have. There's no more healthcare. You know, those are things I'm gonna have to pay out of pocket. And I'm currently not making any money from this. Like, I haven't even monetized my YouTube yet. So how about we take baby steps and just allow God to do His work, and kind of just prepare to receive that. So I have spent a lot of my time trying to build an audience to get more comfortable on camera. I'm still not all the way comfortable on camera, you know, overcoming anxiety about going live on Instagram, or putting systems in place so that I can be consistent and show up on a regular basis instead of just willy-nilly, you know, learning how to learn more about the algorithm and, you know, be more strategic about my content, learning when to invest in things and when to hold off, and just constantly pushing myself to grow and learn more and more. I still want to make it happen by 30, but if I've surrendered of if it doesn't and I have to continue to work as a property manager, you know, for a couple years past 30 or however long, then I will do that, because I'm blessed to have the job that I have. I'm blessed to be able to do two things at one time that I enjoy. Even though one of those things is not my forever, I'm blessed to work for a company that I enjoy, with people I enjoy, with a boss who supports me, and benefits that make my personal goals and aspirations possible. Because everybody doesn't have that. So instead of rushing to get away from that, I'm in a season where I'm learning to find the balance in doing both, and trusting God's timing as to when I am prepared. And then also in retrospect, learning in relation to that, and kind of feeling like, oh, I started too late. Learning not to harbor on the past, because people did tell me in college all the time, like, Lindsay, you should start a YouTube. You should start a YouTube. And I was like, why? Everything I learned, girl, it's on YouTube. If you want to learn how to do it, go ahead and do it. And not understanding that people were saying that they want to see me. And once I kind of got that, once I understood that that's what they were wanting, and seeing what would have been possible had I started then, I spent a lot of time kind of kicking myself in the butt of, you know, dang, I should have started then. If I would have started then I would already be here in these areas in life. I would mostly in the area of my finances. But the truth is, I don't know that. Like, the desire to be out of debt came from an internship that I did when I was in grad school. And I don't know if I would have gone to grad school if I would have made it on YouTube at that time. Like, maybe I would have been financially irresponsible with my money. I definitely know at that time the emotional maturity needed to deal with trolls and to deal with what comes with, you know, putting your life out for the masses to see, I did not have. So I don't know what my mental health state would be right now had I done it at that time. I also know that I did not have the discernment or discretion in terms of what to share online and what things I need to keep for me, my family, my God, myself. So I would have probably exposed things about myself that I wasn't ready to handle the feedback about. And I basically would have grown up. So like certain relationships and how I handled them, there are just certain things that in retrospect, had I started then, my brand would probably be totally different. The value system that I have would probably be totally different, because I just was not ready to, I wasn't mature enough to handle a career like this then. I'm going in with these Kiss Wispy lashes, the pompadour lashes, because I am going to work today, and so we are not going to do the most with lashes. But on my birthday, my actual birthday, today, when y'all are watching this, I'm definitely going to do the most with lashes. But it took me time to work through some things, and I'm very grateful that I didn't start in the season that I wanted to. And again, God, that verse, you know, he will repay that time back, right? So now that I'm doing it now, he can restore whatever I thought I would have built or where I thought I would have been if I started at 2021. When this takes off, my mind will be blown about what is possible, and I won't be worried about, you know, how come I didn't start then. And that's one thing that Maya's journey, I highly recommend that after watching this video, you guys go watch her birthday vlog video. Like, her journey is proof of that to me. It's proof of, you just don't know when it's gonna happen, and when it does happen, it's gonna be your season. So this is her season for her, and I'm really happy for it. But it showed me that if God could take one person there, God could take me there, and it's gonna be on his timing. Even with kind of how I walked away from my grad school program, I was supposed to do a placement in South Africa, in Cape Town. That was supposed to be my grad school internship. And 2 weeks before graduation is when we found out that we were pregnant with Jenny, and I had to make a decision as to whether or not I was going to, I'm talking about Cap and Grant. I said I was going to do a story time. Well, y'all can get it here because it kind of ties into this. But cap and gown already ordered. You know, I'm already scheduled to walk the stage. And I did walk the stage. Finals passed. Everything done, girl. All I had to do was go to South Africa and finish this placement. And then I found out that I was pregnant. And from time to time, you know, I do wonder, like, dang, if I didn't get pregnant and I actually would have went to South Africa, like, what would my life have been like? Like, who would I have met? What would that journey have been? And just what would it have been like to just go there? Because I didn't even think I was going to get accepted for that internship. So to apply and get accepted and then be faced with the decision not to go because I am about to become a mom, sometimes, you know, was really challenging for me. And just wondering, like, if I would have not become a mother so young, what would my life have been? If I would have not fallen into another relationship right after my previous relationship, what would my life have been? So many what ifs. I spent so much time previously harping on the past, and it just never does any good. And also just realizing that to some extent, some of those missed experiences can still happen. Like, Cape Town is not going anywhere. Like, no, it might not be for an internship, for a career that I have now realized that I don't want to be a social worker. Let me put this lash on and then I will continue my ramble. Now we've been recording for 40 minutes and I'm still doing the eyes. Let's let's make some progress. All right, for foundation, I'm just gonna use my Huda Beauty foundation. I kind of forgot if I like it or not, and I've been wanting to test it out, so that's what we're gonna be using today. But yeah, just constantly looking back and just being like, if becoming a mom and finding my person young didn't happen, where would I be? And then also kind of, I spent a lot of time comparing the life, oh y'all can't see me, I'm sorry, the life of my friends who, you know, kind of, well, I'm just gonna say it, who did not have a child young, who was able to go on and move to a new city and have a different experience and, you know, chase the bag and only have to worry about themselves chasing the bag, not worrying about having to provide for a family, being able to travel at the drop of a hat. Like sometimes I look back and I'm just like, if I just would have waited to have my child, all these things could have happened for me. But not only waited to have my child, waited to get in a serious relationship again. Like when I met Tay, I wasn't looking for a serious relationship because I had just gotten out of something that was not great. I had just pretty much like just gotten my heart broken, and I really just wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to find love at that time. I really just wanted to learn what it was like to be by myself because I had never been, right? Like I've pretty much had a boyfriend since, or been in relationships or situationships, been tied to a man since the age of 14. And after that last relationship, it was so traumatizing the way that it ended that I just was like, okay, this is the time. Like I just want to be by myself. I just want to be by myself. I want to have fun, you know. I don't want anything too serious. And then God placed Tay in my life, and I tried to fight it, y'all. I was like, oh, no, we're not falling in love again. We're not doing this now. But Tay was just like, you're the one. You're it. So I'm gonna wait until you're ready. And I was ready sooner than I thought I wanted, and so I didn't get that experience of learning to be by myself. I didn't get that experience of being able to pick up and go and not feel the need to be tied to someone, or not have to consider every decision with how is this going to affect my partner, or how is this going to affect my family, because we weren't together long before we had Jenny. Tay and I started dating in 2016 and Jenny was born in 2017. So it wasn't much time for us to even just really enjoy dating each other. And sometimes, you know, there's been times where I live in regret, not of the relationship and not of having my daughter. Like both things are two of the best things that have ever happened to me, but just like maybe somewhat mourning those experiences that I never got to have because of those things. Like when I had to choose between my daughter and going to South Africa, it was no question. It was just like, there's no way I can go. And Tay never tried to discourage me from going. He was just like, if that's what you want, like, you know, this is a once in a lifetime experience. I will still be here to support you and baby when she comes, and we'll figure it out. And I was just like, there's no way. Like, this is my first pregnancy ever, your first pregnancy ever. You want to be a part of this. Like, I was blessed to, you know, be pregnant by someone who actually wanted to be there. And I just felt like it would be so selfish of me to go to South Africa on my own and to rob him of like that experience. And also, it's my first pregnancy. Like, you have no idea. I had no idea what could happen. Just, you never know how your pregnancy is gonna go. And so I decided it was in the best interest of my daughter not to go, just in case I ended up having a complicated pregnancy, or in case I ended up going into premature labor or whatever. I wanted to be close to her dad, and I wanted to be close to friends and family that could support me. I did not want to be in a foreign country by myself. And so I decided to walk away from that opportunity, leave my degree on the table, and try and find a way to support our new family. And that was like, that's a huge decision to make, and a life-changing decision. And so sometimes I look back and I'm just like, what would life would have been if I didn't have to make that decision? Where would I be? And then also just comparison in terms of lifestyle, the circle of friends that I'm in, and like everyone being able to afford things that I actually want, you know, like I want to afford luxury, I want to afford traveling, I want to afford these things, but my priorities are just a little different from my friends because no one else has a family. They only have to worry about themselves. Like, they can be selfish at this point in their life, and I can't. And so there was definitely a mourning period during the age of 27, for real, because I feel like that's when people's like careers and stuff really started taking off, and they were able to start doing these things. And it's not that I couldn't, but I felt restricted, you know, ability to do them because I had other priorities. And so sometimes I wished I didn't have to have those other priorities. But then again, all in God's timing. Maybe I would have traveled the world, and maybe, you know, I could have had a hot girl summer, you know, found a sugar daddy or two to drop a bag while chasing my own bag, all these things. But I have no idea what God was protecting me from. And then once I started hearing my friends' experiences living this lifestyle, like what they have to put up with, you know, from these men, and just like the toxic back and forth, and then having these experiences and still feeling alone, still feeling like, how come I haven't found my person yet, and still feeling just like their relationships are superficial, or I don't know, child. The downsides of those experiences are things that I don't have to worry about. Like, I found my person, and he is phenomenal. And another thing that I really had to surrender in terms of looking backwards is knowing that God knows what's best for me. Like, I have no idea what I would have succumbed to had I was living that, like, you know, that lifestyle. And I just don't know who I would have encountered, what type of negative experiences I would have had, or traumatizing experiences I would have had, which I've had enough of them. So I don't really want or need any more. And maybe God was just, you know, putting me up in a place where it's like, okay, you're finally able to feel safe. You can build with someone, you can find stability, because those relationships, they have no stability. They're very transactional most of the time. And I have true support. And the truth is that after I was done living that life, hopping all over the place, dating multiple people, you know, just experiencing the fast life, I would have wanted exactly what I have now. A loving partner who supports me, a beautiful family, and to be at peace in that relationship. And here I am comparing, you know, what these women are able to afford and what they're able to do, and like undervaluing what I actually have in the position that God has put me in. And so I've learned to just let those things be. It wasn't meant for me. I wasn't meant to be in the streets. I was meant to be at home with my man, and that's where I shall remain. So that's one of the other areas that I've had to learn to surrender. And then once I accepted that, the final area is in terms of motherhood, and in terms of when to have a second baby. So again, just wanting to build a family, which, I mean, I do have one, but wanting to extend that family. And then especially during the pandemic, I really felt the pressure to have a second baby because Jenny was lonely. Like, she didn't have any kids to play with, schools weren't open, you know. Yes, she has cousins and stuff, but you know, the parents have their own lives and they have their own things going on. Like, I can't always be like, hey, do you want to keep my kid? Or hey, can I take your kid? Like, they have their own life. And Ugh. Yo, these flakes get me every time. But yeah, they have their own life, and just feeling really, really sad because my daughter was lonely. She was asking for her friends. Mommy, where are my friends? Mommy, I want my friends. And you know, me feeling bad to be like, oh baby, you don't have any friends. And then she actually started asking for siblings. She started asking, Mommy, Daddy, where's my brother? Where's my sister? And that was really hard for me to see that she was experiencing that, especially when I am so close with my siblings and we have such a great relationships, and they really are like a grounding force in my life. You know, I can count on them for everything. We're there for each other. We support each other. So I understand the value of just having those, you know, best friends you're related to go through life with. And for her to be 4 now and not having them, it just was really hard for me. But similar to marriage, you know, Tay was like, this isn't the time for us to have more kids when we're still trying to financially make it with the one that we have now. Because we want to have kids, but we want to be able to comfortably financially support however many kids we have. And that just isn't a possibility at this day and age. And so I had to surrender our initial timeline of how many kids we wanted to have by when. Because when I had Jenny, I wanted to have the next one within 3 to 5 years of having her. And Jenny is about to be 4 in 2 weeks. My birthday is on the 22nd of October when this video will be published, and her birthday is on the 28th. So basically we had to decide, like, either you're going to be pregnant this year to meet said timeline, or have gotten pregnant during the pandemic, or we're going to wait until after the wedding. And we decided that waiting until after the wedding was the most financially responsible thing for us to do. But it just meant that Jenny would be alone until then, and I'm not gonna lie, that made me sad. It made me sad, but I don't know. And then again, this is also assuming that nothing will change financially in my life. And in the line of work that I am transitioning to as an influencer, who's to say? Who's to say what's gonna happen? I don't know. Let me just go ahead and wrap up this video. You know, I had to surrender the timeline of when we were gonna have baby number 2 for just to be wise about stewarding the things and resources that God has given us, and being able to provide any kids that we bring into this world the best life possible. And we can afford to do that right now with Genesis, and if we add another child to the picture, it's going to be a stretch. And so just surrendering the timeline again to God in terms of, okay God, whenever you say so. And so yeah, again, 27 for me has been the year of surrendering the timeline, and that verse has really grounded me. And the first half of the verse about God's ability to restore and kind of bring back all the things that you think you are missing by not accomplishing your check marks on your timeline has really given me peace in the last like maybe 4 months. So now I am completely moving forward in all of those areas, and just completely just being like, okay, I have no timeline. I am just gonna focus on building the fundamentals, building the groundwork for all of these things to happen, and whenever they are supposed to happen, they will. And so I'm excited to see what 28 is going to bring. You guys will see this on my birthday. So again, happy birthday to me. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to me ramble all this time. And the next video will be my birthday vlog. So I will see you guys then. You all know I love you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And follow your girl on YouTube. And I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Smooches.